So I've just removed the covers from my my winter really and spring carrot bed, and packed all those away. And I've taken all the foliage off the carrots like I always do every year, and that makes a huge amount of greens for the compost bin, which is always really nice. I've taken all the slugs and snails out that I can find, which is the real big issue with leaving the foliage on. You know, as it dies back over winter, it just creates this mat of soggy leaves under which slugs and snails absolutely thrive, and they're thriving on eating the carrots. So I really like to get rid, and it creates this space in between the carrots, which this year I'm going to use to plant lettuces for a harvest in sort of midwinter and maybe into early spring. Then this bed by April will be replanted, all harvested obviously, and then replanted with onions. So I'm generally pretty pleased with it. I plant at about a 1-inch spacing, which gives me medium-sized carrots, but lots of them. And that part of the bed is absolutely perfect. It's basically every single 1-inch spot has got a carrot in it, and they're all pretty good size. I'll just pick a couple just so you can see them. And this part of the bed is about 2/3 really good. And then, if you're a regular viewer, you'll remember that I didn't have really very good germination in this bed in a few spots, like here for example, where we've got really little tiny carrots, and here again, like I filled them in with new sowings, which all germinated. So it was a bit of a mystery why, but anyway, everywhere where I've got little carrots, which were the second sowings, they were basically outcompeted. So I've got huge, great big carrots like this one, some of them forked, and lots of little tiny carrots. As I say, a lot of them aren't even worth eating. So it's worth doing this for many reasons, topping them. I'll go through them. I've already mentioned slugs and snails. I've mentioned the fact that I can then plant something else in the middle and get a second crop out of the same bed. Because I'm going to put a cold frame top on here, that allows me to ensure that these carrots don't go multiple days frozen. I find when the carrots are frozen for multiple days on end, they can often go soft, but provided they freeze and then thaw the next day, which happens if you've got a cold frame top on, then they're absolutely fine. And in fact, they're better than fine. They're absolutely great because they really love being frozen occasionally, and that sweetens them up beautifully. And of course, they store perfectly in the ground, so much better than if they're harvested. So you get super quality carrots, but in order to do this in the ground, you've got to make sure that they're not eaten by pests. You've got to make sure that they're not oversaturated with rain, and you've got to make sure they don't freeze for multiple days on end. So this is the strategy. The next benefit is that you get to see what you've got. So in this bed I can see I've pretty much got every row fully populated, great medium-sized carrots. In this bed I'll probably assume I've got about half good big sized carrots, and then lots of little tiny ones, which probably will be okay for sort of 1 or 2 bites in a salad, but other than that won't be giving as much of a harvest. So I've got, about 2/3 of what I'm expecting. So now I know exactly how much I can harvest between now, when I start harvesting this bed, which will be sort of middle of November, and April, sort of, the beginning of April, which is when the onions go in. So, great for planning, because it's easy to harvest them as well, because you're harvesting them from thawed ground, which makes a difference. That's pretty much it. So I should point out that in previous years I have tried to put lettuces in here in these gaps in November with the objective of harvesting them in March and early April. I'm not doing that this year because it's too shaded here because there's a huge tree here. There's loads of stuff behind me here, buildings and trees and things, and so it just doesn't get enough light for those lettuces to sort of thrive over winter. But I'm hoping they will do okay between now and sort of like the middle of December or something like that, when I'll start picking them. So that's a little bit better. Now the carrot interplant thing does work fine with lettuces in a sunny spot, but just be warned, doesn't work so well in a shady spot. Right, so I'm now going to sort out this interplant, but before I can do that I need to just give this a bit of a water, because the ground is a little bit dry here, partly because of the tree above me, which has deprived the bed of a bit of water. So I've got some really nice lettuces left over. This bed hasn't had much feed, because you don't feed a carrot bed really before you plant. So I'm just going to give it a little dusting of bloodfish and bone, and I'm going to water that in. And of course the onions, the follow-on crop from this, will really appreciate this bloodfish and bone as well in spring. Oh, I'm really happy with that. I was quite frustrated to have all these spare lettuces, and now I'm highly delighted to have got them all planted. I'm pretty confident I'm going to get something out of them, and it'll be really nice to keep the lettuce harvest going for people, because we normally have to sort of finish harvesting lettuce around December for friends, and just restrict the harvest for family. But this might let me continue a little bit longer, so that would be lovely. So this is next year's carrot bed. It's currently full of all these beautiful red cabbages. These will all be gone by February, and cold frame tops will go on top here, and the cold frame tops will allow me to start things in February, plant them out in February, and there's then plenty of time to get them harvested before I start the carrots again in May. May's a little bit early for carrots, you might be thinking, but it's not, because of all the shade from these trees over here. So yeah, they really benefit from an extended growing season, and yeah, and I basically alternate carrots and something else, carrots, onions, something else, between these two beds, and sometimes this bed as well, which is currently full of beetroot, which I've also topped, just like I do the carrots. So I've just fitted the cold frame tops. I'm a big fan of these tops. They're super easy and quick to fit, make a really big difference to the quality of the food and the amount of food that I can grow, and they last for ages. These are all 10 years old. Some of them need a lot of repair, little cuts and things that I've got, but polytunnel repair tape is fantastic. So what was I going to say? Oh right, yes. There's a lot going on in the way that I garden, and so I highly recommend my newsletter. You can find it at steverichards.substack.com, and there's a link to it down in the description below. And it's free, and it goes through all the nitty-gritty details that I can't cover in the videos. So all the varieties, of course, everything that I'm sowing, everything I'm pricking out, everything I'm potting on, everything I'm planting, everything I'm harvesting, all the problems I'm having, how I work around all those problems, or not, as the case may be, and also all the kind of logic as to why I'm doing things, when I'm doing them, and how I'm covering them and protecting them, and all that sort of thing, when I'm using grow lights, when I'm not using grow lights. And yeah, I like the newsletter, I like writing it, and thousands and thousands of people now subscribed and enjoying it. So subscribe if you're interested. My name's Steve, this is the Outgrow channel, and I'll see you soon.